Back, Patriots. Welcome back to Sons of Liberty 1773. I'm your host, Bill Bailey. Today is December 17th, 2023, year of our Lord. Do you remember Joe Biden saying this just 12 months ago?
But look, the idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in with American pilots and American crews, just understand, and don't kid yourself, no matter what you all say, that's called World War III.
So don't kid yourself. If we send in to Ukraine planes, tanks, trains, it'll be World War III. His words. This headline from September: M1 Abrams tanks arriving in Ukraine. F-16 training to follow soon. This article from Reuters back in August. U.S. approves sending F-16s to Ukraine from Denmark and Netherlands. This article at Newsweek just last month in November. The first batch of U.S.-made F-16 fighter jets has arrived at a training center in Romania as NATO pushes to bolster Ukraine air defense. Now listen to this incredible interview of Alex Jones interviewing Jack Posobiec. And Jack Posobiec is in tune with what's going on in Europe. This is very telling, folks, of what the regime is up to.
Look, Alex, it's very clear what happened here. This is NATO's response to you and I. This is NATO responding to you and I because we have come out with the truth about what NATO is up to. Look, the German chancellor was very clear, declaring an emergency session. Then the new globalist Polish prime minister says we must mobilize the Western nations against Russia for Ukraine. We know exactly what he's talking about. Then you flash back to Lloyd Austin. Lloyd Austin goes to Congress and Lloyd Austin says, we will send your sons and daughters to fight Russia in Ukraine and in Europe. Then Zelensky comes. Zelensky gives his address to the U.S. military, to U.S. military officers, the head of Ukraine. And then he goes up on Fox News and he's saying, you have to stop spending money in the United States on your own problems. You must send your money. You must pay Ukraine. You must give Ukraine more. Joe Biden comes out. He stands with Ukraine. And then NATO comes to us. NATO comes after us and says, these are all defensive mobilizations. Defensive mobilizations, Alex. And you went through headline after headline in every single mainstream thing. What do you think the mobilizations are for? What do you think the mobilizations are targeted towards? And remember, the first head of NATO, when they asked him, the British Lord, and they said, what is the purpose of NATO? He said, the purpose of NATO is to keep the Germans down, keep the Russians out, and to keep the Americans in. And every NATO move since then has always been done in furtherance of that.
And then when we try to say this is crazy, they come in and suppress us. And they do this across the board. Oh, we saw Biden and Blinken and Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, all come out the last 2 weeks and say, if you don't give us $106 billion, your sons and daughters will be dying within months because Putin's going to attack a NATO ally or nation. We're like, well, wait, it's not a member. But see, they're about to make it a member. And then, now because Russia's already there, now they're at war with Russia. They are trying to sneak World War III in under our noses. So look at these headlines. EU leaders bypass Hungary's Orban, objections and approved beginning of ascension, negotiations with Ukraine and other nations. Here's the community notes against us. Breaking, NATO officially mobilizes for direct war with Russia. Look at the headlines. Air Force Times, U.S. NATO forces mobilize as war comes to Europe. There's no negotiating with Putin. NATO must mobilize military might to fight. NATO in race against time to prepare for war with Russia. Newsweek. NATO mobilized 300 troops for war.
So Biden himself said if we send in Abrams tanks, F-16s, it will be World War III. And then he goes ahead and does it. And now we see NATO, which is really America's leading NATO, is mobilizing for war with Russia. So it appears to me that this regime in Washington that is failing, and I'll tell you, when a regime is failing, it's a dangerous thing because they always take their country to war. Somehow they think that's the lifeline that's going to save them. Hey, hopefully I'm wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I love reading your comments. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, Hit the subscribe button, check mark the bell to get all notifications. As always, keep praying and keep prepping. May God continue to bless this great nation, and may the good Lord keep you and yours safe. Until next time, Sons of Liberty out.